They once rode across the Ponderosa, capturing hearts in Bonanza, 1959-1973, one of TV's greatest Western sagas. But behind the fame and glory, many of its stars faced battles that time would not forgive. Which of these beloved actors lived long enough to see their legacy honored and which left us too soon? What tragedies marked their final days, and how are they remembered now? Lorne Greene, the commanding presence behind the role of Ben Cartwright in Bonanza, 1959-1973, was born on February 12, 1915 in Ottawa, Canada. When the series premiered in 1959, Greene was 44 years old, already seasoned as a radio announcer and actor, but it was Bonanza that turned him into a household name. As Ben Cartwright, the patriarch of the Cartwright clan, Greene became a symbol of wisdom, authority, and the embodiment of the Western ideal. Outside, Bonanza Greene appeared in films such as The Silver Chalice, 1954, Peyton Place, 1957, and later the cult sci-fi classic Battlestar Galactica, 1978, where he again commanded respect as Commander Adama. His career seemed steady, but Greene also faced struggles. Early in life, his radio nickname, the Voice of Doom, haunted him, reflecting his association with grim wartime news broadcasts. His attempts to transition into more diverse roles after Bonanza often faltered, as audiences could not separate him from the image of Ben Cartwright. Some of his later ventures, including lesser-known television projects, were commercial disappointments, leaving him in the shadow of his most iconic role. In his personal life, Greene married twice and fathered twins. Yet, his marriages were not free from turbulence. His first marriage to Rita Hands ended in divorce in 1960, a painful personal failure that contrasted with his professional image of stability. Later, he found more balance with Nancy Deal, but Greene never escaped the loneliness of being typecast. Despite financial security with his net worth estimated around $10 million at the height of his career, he never achieved the same artistic freedom he craved. Greene invested in properties including homes in California, but fame could not shield him from private sorrows. Tragically, Lorne Greene's life was cut short when he died, on September 11, 1987, from complications following surgery for a perforated ulcer. He was 72 years old. His death marked the end of an era as he had been the father figure to millions of viewers. Greene's story is one of triumph and typecasting wealth and heartache admiration, and the quiet tragedies of a man forever remembered as Ben Cartwright. Michael Landon, forever immortalized as Little Joe Cartwright in Bonanza, 1959-1973, was born on October 31, 1936 in Forest Hills, New York. When the series began in 1959, Landon was only 22 years old, making him the youngest Cartwright son and the heartthrob of the show. His charm, fiery temper on screen, and boyish energy made him a fan favorite, catapulting him from a struggling actor into one of television's brightest stars. Beyond Bonanza, Landon went on to build an extraordinary career as both actor and creator. He starred in and produced two iconic series, Little House on the Prairie, 1974-1983, where he became Charles Ingalls, the stoic pioneer father, and Highway to Heaven, 1984-1989, where he portrayed the angelic Jonathan Smith. Yet behind his success, Landon's life was marked by turmoil. He endured a difficult childhood, with a mother who struggled with mental health issues and even attempted suicide in front of him. These scars shaped his relentless work ethic, but also left him restless and sometimes volatile in relationships. Financially, Landon amassed significant wealth, with his net worth estimated at around $40 million at the peak of his career. He owned lavish real estate in Malibu and Beverly Hills, reflecting his stature as one of television's most bankable stars. However, his personal life was far from serene. He married 3 times, first to Dodie Levy-Fraser, then Lynn No, and later Cindy Clerico. His divorces were public and painful, particularly his split from Lynn after nearly 2 decades, a scandal that hurt his wholesome television image. Still, he remained devoted to his 9 children, blending families across marriages and often drawing inspiration for his fatherly roles from his own complicated home life. Tragically, Michael Landon's story ended in heartbreak. In April 1991, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, an illness that advanced with devastating speed. Despite his optimism and public fight, he passed away on July 1st, 1991 at the age of 54, only months after his diagnosis. His death stunned fans worldwide. Landon's life was a tapestry of triumph and tragedy. A young actor who became a cultural icon, a wealthy star burdened by scandal and personal pain, and a man whose final battle came far too soon. Yet, even in death, his legacy as Little Joe Charles Ingalls and Jonathan Smith endures as a symbol of strength, family, and resilience. Dan Blocker remembered with affection as the gentle giant Hoss Cartwright in Bonanza, 1959 to 1973, was born on December 10, 1928 in DeKalb, Texas. When Bonanza premiered in 1959, Blocker was 30 years old, bringing warmth, humor, and humanity to the role of Hoss. Unlike the fiery Little Joe or the stern Ben Hoss, was the soul of the Cartwright family, his kindness making him one of the most beloved characters on the show. Before Bonanza, Blocker had appeared in series like Gunsmoke Have Gun, Will Travel, and Cheyenne, slowly building his reputation in Hollywood. Yet his size, he weighed over 300 pounds, often typecast him as a brute. Bonanza changed everything, allowing him to play against type as a man of strength and heart. Success brought him fame and fortune, with his net worth later estimated at around $5 million, and he invested wisely in business ventures and California real estate. Despite his success, Blocker's life was not without difficulties. His military service in the Korean War left him with painful memories that he rarely spoke of. Fame also put pressure on his family life, though he remained married to his college sweetheart Dolphia Parker, with whom he had 4 children. Unlike many Hollywood stars, Blocker tried to avoid scandal, but the burden of constant filming and the struggle with his weight placed strain on his health. His career outside Bonanza never fully blossomed. Attempts to break free from his iconic role met with limited success, a frustration that haunted him privately. Tragedy struck suddenly in 1972. Dan Blocker underwent gallbladder surgery, but developed a pulmonary embolism, leading to his unexpected death on May 13, 1972. He was only 43 years old. His passing devastated not only his family, but also the cast of Bonanza, which never fully recovered from the loss of its heart. The show's ratings collapsed shortly after, as fans could not imagine the Ponderosa without Hoss. Blocker's story is one of promise and heartbreak. A war veteran who became a gentle hero on screen, a family man taken too soon, and an actor whose death symbolized the fragility behind Hollywood's brightest lights. Though gone young, his legacy endures in every smile Hoss Cartwright brought to millions of homes. Pernell Roberts, the actor who gave life to the intellectual and independent Adam Cartwright in Bonanza, 1959 to 1973, was born on May 18, 1928 in Waycross, Georgia. When Bonanza premiered in 1959, Roberts was 31 years old, the eldest son of Ben Cartwright, and the most serious-minded member of the family. His portrayal of Adam was marked by quiet strength and a brooding intensity that contrasted with his brother's more flamboyant traits, giving the Cartwright clan a thoughtful anchor. But Roberts was never fully content on the Ponderosa. A classically trained actor with a deep voice and commanding stage presence, he had built his career in theater performing, Shakespeare, and other demanding roles. To him, Bonanza often felt shallow, and he openly criticized the show for its lack of depth and repetitive storytelling. His clashes with producers and dissatisfaction with his character's limitations became legendary. And in 1965, after 6 seasons, he left the series one of the first big stars to walk away from a hit show. The decision was bold but costly as he struggled to regain the same level of fame. Financially, Roberts earned well during his years on Bonanza, and later projects with his wealth estimated at several $1 million, though far less than his co-stars who stayed longer. He worked steadily in guest roles on television and found renewed success in the 1970s and 1980s, most notably as Dr. John McIntyre in Trapper. John M.D., 1979-1986. This role gave him both critical acclaim and financial stability. Yet his personal life reflected turbulence. He married 4 times, each union ending in divorce, except his final marriage to Eleanor Criswell. He had one son, Chris, whose tragic death in a motorcycle accident in 1989 cast a permanent shadow over his later years. Roberts was outspoken, often considered difficult in Hollywood circles, but he remained true to his principles, valuing artistic integrity over popularity. In his later years, he largely retreated from the spotlight, living more quietly in California. Sadly, his life ended on January 24, 2010, when he died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 81. Pernell Roberts' journey was marked by brilliance and conflict, triumph and loss. He was a man who turned his back on easy fame to chase meaning, who endured heartbreak and professional struggles, yet remained respected as a principled and uncompromising artist. Though Adam Cartwright left the Ponderosa early, Roberts' legacy endures as the Cartwright who refused to be tamed. Victor Sen-Yung, the versatile actor best known to Bonanza, 1959-1973 fans as Hop Sing. The witty and loyal Cartwright family cook was born on October 18, 1915 in San Francisco, California. When the show first aired in 1959, he was 44 years old, bringing not only humor but also depth to a character who could have easily been reduced to a stereotype. Instead, Yung gave Hop Sing charm and heart, making him an unforgettable part of life on the Ponderosa. Before Bonanza, Yung had already made his mark in Hollywood, appearing in the Charlie Chan film series as the detective's number 2 son, and taking roles in classics like Across the Pacific 1942 and Flower Drum Song 1961. Despite his talent, opportunities for Asian American actors were severely limited, and Yung often faced typecasting. While his colleagues on Bonanza became wealthy and famous, he struggled to break free from supporting roles. His net worth never approached that of his co-stars, likely under $1 million, even though he worked steadily in both film and television. Off-screen, his life was far from easy. He married once, but the union ended in divorce and he had no children. Financial troubles haunted him, and his career frustrations mirrored the discrimination he faced as an Asian American actor in mid-20th century Hollywood. At one point, he even pursued cooking as a sideline, teaching Chinese cuisine and publishing a cookbook, a move that reflected both his creativity and the harsh reality of limited acting roles. In later years, Yung's story turned tragic. On October 31, 1980, just after his 65th birthday, he was found dead in his North Hollywood home from accidental asphyxiation due to a gas leak. His passing was both sudden and heartbreaking, ending the life of a man who had quietly endured the struggles of being a minority actor in a difficult era. Victor Sen-Yung's journey is bittersweet, a gifted performer who gave warmth and life to Hop Sing, a man who fought against barriers that kept him in the shadows, and an artist whose end came in lonely circumstances. Though never the star of Bonanza, his contribution was essential, and his legacy remains as the soul of the Cartwright household. Ray Teal, remembered by Bonanza 1959-1973 fans as Sheriff Roy Coffey, the steadfast lawman of Virginia City, was born on January 12, 1902 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. When he first stepped into the role in 1960, he was 58 years old, already a seasoned character actor whose face had graced countless films and television shows. As Sheriff Coffey, Teal brought dignity and quiet authority, often mediating between the Cartwrights and the chaos of frontier justice. His presence became a reassuring constant, even though he was never the central star. Long before Bonanza, Teal had built an enormous resume. He appeared in more than 250 films, from westerns like Ramrod 1947 and The Far Country 1954 to dramas such as Ace in the Hole 1951. On television, he became a familiar figure in series like The Lone Ranger, The Rifleman, and Wagon Train. Despite his steady work, Teal rarely received the recognition or wealth enjoyed by leading men. His net worth was modest compared to his co-stars, likely under $1 million even after decades of consistent work. Teal's personal life carried its own shadows. He married once, but the union dissolved in divorce, and he lived the later years of his life largely in solitude. He had no children, and colleagues often described him as a man more comfortable on set than in the spotlight. Though respected in the industry, he was often typecast as a sheriff deputy or townsman, roles that paid the bills but limited his artistic horizons. This quiet frustration marked much of his career, a reminder of Hollywood's harsh hierarchies, where character actors lived in the shadows of stars. By the 1970s, Teal's health began to decline, forcing him into a quieter existence away from acting. On April 2nd, 1976, he died of natural causes in Los Angeles at the age of 74. His death passed with little fanfare, overshadowed by bigger names, yet his body of work remains staggering in scope. Ray Teal's story is one of resilience and quiet tragedy. A dependable actor who lent strength to every scene, a man whose career spanned decades, but who never escaped the margins of fame, and a life that ended quietly, much like the calm authority of Sheriff Roy Coffey himself. David Canary, who brought fiery life to the role of Candy Canaday in Bonanza, 1967-1973, was born on August 25, 1938 in Elwood, Indiana. He joined the series at age 29, stepping in as the charismatic ranch hand, who became like family to the Cartwrights. With his sharp features, confident swagger, and quick wit, Canary injected fresh energy into Bonanza during its later seasons, making Candy a fan favorite. Before Bonanza, Canary had already explored a career in both sports and acting. A gifted athlete, he once turned down a professional football offer from the Denver Broncos to pursue the stage. His early roles included appearances in Peyton Place and a variety of guest spots in television westerns. Still, it was Bonanza that gave him his first real taste of fame. Yet his time on the Ponderosa wasn't entirely smooth. He briefly left due to contract disputes, a reminder of how Hollywood negotiations could derail even promising careers. Canary later reinvented himself in daytime television, finding remarkable success in soap operas. His dual role as Adam Chandler and Stuart Chandler on All My Children earned him 5 Daytime Emmy Awards and cemented his place as a television icon. By then, his financial standing was far stronger than in his Bonanza years, with his net worth later estimated around $5 million. Still behind the acclaim were personal struggles. He married twice, first to actress Julie M. Anderson, later to Maureen Maloney. And while he found lasting stability with his second wife and 2 children, the earlier years were marked by the instability of Hollywood life and the constant fight against typecasting. Unlike some of his peers, Canary avoided scandal, but his career was not without disappointments. Attempts to break into film never fully took off, and despite his range, he was often confined to television. In his later years, he lived more quietly in Connecticut, away from the limelight. Tragedy struck when Canary developed Alzheimer's disease, a cruel decline for a man once so commanding on screen. He passed away on November 16, 2015 at the age of 77. His death brought sadness to both soap opera fans and those who remembered him fondly as Candy Canaday. David Canary's story is one of reinvention and resilience. An athlete turned actor, a man who faced setbacks, yet found new triumphs, and an artist who, despite personal and professional battles, left behind a legacy of unforgettable characters. Bob Miles, born on November 7, 1927, became a familiar face in Hollywood through his work as a stuntman and occasional actor, most notably in the legendary Western series Bonanza, 1959–1973. He began working on the series in his early 30s, stepping in not only as a stunt double, but also appearing in minor on-screen roles when needed. His presence behind the scenes helped bring realism and physical intensity to the show's countless brawls, horseback chases, and perilous action moments. Throughout his career, Miles contributed to other Western classics, including High Chaparral and Gunsmoke, and he occasionally took parts in television and film productions where his rugged skills were in demand. Yet, unlike the glamorous stars of the screen, Miles remained in the shadows, often uncredited, which made recognition for his craft bittersweet. Financially, his net worth was modest, compared to lead actors estimated at around $500,000 at its peak, since stunt performers were rarely rewarded with the same long-term contracts or residuals as their counterparts. Behind the camera, life brought hardships. Injuries from dangerous stunt work haunted him for years, forcing breaks in his career and at times plunging him into financial strain. His personal life was not free of turbulence. Marriage struggles and periods of instability marked his private world, and unlike many of his colleagues, he never achieved the comfort of steady Hollywood fame. These setbacks painted his story with a sense of quiet tragedy. He was a man whose courage made stars shine brighter, while he carried the scars both seen and unseen. Bob Miles passed away on April 12, 2007, at the age of 79. His death was attributed to natural causes, closing the chapter of a man whose life mirrored the dangers he portrayed on screen. He left behind no major real estate empire or glamorous legacy of wealth, but instead a reputation among insiders as one of the unsung heroes of Bonanza. Today he is remembered more by those who know the sacrifices of stunt performers than by the broader public. Yet his contribution to one of television's greatest westerns remains an indelible part of its history. Bing Russell, born on May 5, 1926, carved his place in television history with his steady portrayal of Sheriff Clem Foster in Bonanza, 1959-1973. He joined the show in 1961 at the age of 35, becoming a recurring character who represented law and order in Virginia City. While he never held the spotlight like the Cartwright family, his presence was vital in grounding the series with authenticity and balance. Before and beyond Bonanza, Russell appeared in dozens of films and television programs, including The Magnificent Seven, 1960, The Twilight Zone, The Rifleman, and Gunsmoke. Though he worked steadily, he never reached leading man status, a frustration that often left him typecast as lawmen, deputies, or townsfolk. His career was a mixture of success and quiet disappointment. He was a familiar face, but rarely a celebrated star. Financially, his net worth was never extravagant, estimated around $1 to $2 million by today's standards, much of it earned through decades of acting and later through his surprising passion project, founding the Portland Mavericks, an independent minor league baseball team. That move, though, bold and ahead of its time, strained him financially and professionally as Hollywood offers slowed. Critics mocked the idea of a Hollywood actor owning a ball club, but the Mavericks became a cult favorite remembered for their rebellious spirit. In his personal life, Russell's marriage to Louise Julia Crone was a lasting bond, and together they raised 4 children, including future Hollywood star Kurt Russell. His family life was stable compared to many of his peers, yet his professional frustrations weighed heavily. Watching others rise to fame while he remained in supporting roles brought its own quiet heartache. Bing Russell died on April 8, 2003 from cancer at the age of 76. His passing was mourned not only by fans of Bonanza, but also by the baseball community that cherished his unorthodox Mavericks. He left behind a modest estate, no vast Hollywood mansions, but rather a legacy of persistence, resilience, and a family line that would carry his name into greater stardom. Today he is remembered as both a character actor who gave weight to countless westerns and the father of one of America's most enduring movie stars. Grandin Rhodes, born on August 7, 1904, was one of those dependable character actors who seemed to appear everywhere in Hollywood's golden television years. On Bonanza, 1959-1973, he stepped in as a judge banker or dignified townsman roles that matched his tall frame, calm demeanor, and authoritative voice. By the time he appeared on the series in the early 1960s, Rhodes was already in his late 50s, a seasoned professional with decades of screen experience. His career stretched across film and television, with appearances in Perry Mason, Alfred Hitchcock Presents The Twilight Zone, and classic westerns such as Gunsmoke and The Rifleman. In cinema, he took smaller roles in films like Anatomy of a Murder, 1959, proving his ability to lend weight to courtroom and official characters. Though he was rarely in leading roles, directors valued his reliability. He could walk on set, embody a judge or lawyer, and give the scene instant credibility. Financially, Rhodes never reached Hollywood wealth. His net worth at its height would be the equivalent of roughly $500,000 today, modest for an actor with so many credits. Like many character actors of his era, he lived in the shadow of bigger stars, and though he worked steadily, recognition often slipped past him. That obscurity was itself a quiet tragedy. He was the kind of actor audiences knew by face, but rarely by name. Rhodes's private life remained mostly out of the headlines, but behind the stoic screen presence lay the struggles of an aging actor in an industry that prized youth and stardom. As roles became scarcer with age, he faced professional disappointments, watching younger performers take the spotlight he had once helped illuminate from the sidelines. Grandin Rhodes passed away on June 17, 1987 at the age of 82. His death was due to natural causes, closing the life of a man who had lived through Hollywood's transition from black and white to color television. He left no vast estate or scandalous legacy, only a body of work that remains quietly respected. Today, he is remembered as one of the many unsung professionals who gave Bonanza and countless other shows their authenticity, proving that even the smallest roles can leave a lasting impression. Bruno Visota, remembered as a character actor with a distinctive presence, made an appearance in the legendary Western series Bonanza, 1959-1973, where he took on a supporting role that added color to the world of the Cartwrights. Born on March 25, 1922 in Chicago, Illinois, Visota began his career as a radio announcer before turning to television and film. When he joined Bonanza in the early 1960s, he was already in his 40s, bringing a certain maturity and ruggedness to his on-screen persona. His role, though, not one of the main Cartwright family members, highlighted his ability to portray gritty, often desperate men living on the margins of society. Outside of Bonanza, Bruno Visota was best known for appearing in a series of low-budget cult films during the 1950s and 1960s, such as The Wasp Woman, 1959 Attack of the Giant Leeches, 1959 and A Bucket of Blood, 1959. He also worked behind the camera as a director, notably in exploitation and noir-inspired projects. Despite his talent, his career often found him typecast in menacing or tragic roles, and he never quite achieved mainstream stardom. This lack of recognition was a lingering disappointment, one of the many struggles in his professional life. Financially, Visota never accumulated the wealth of Hollywood's bigger names. His net worth is estimated today at around $500 to $1,000, modest compared to his peers. His personal life was also far from smooth. He endured difficulties in relationships and never achieved the stability of a long, enduring marriage. The details of his private affairs remained quiet, but behind the camera, he faced setbacks both financially and emotionally, battling the reality of being trapped in B-movie productions while longing for more serious opportunities. Sadly, Bruno Visota's story ended early. He died on September 24, 1976 in Culver City, California, from a heart attack at just 54 years old. His passing was a quiet one, leaving behind a legacy of cult cinema roles and scattered television appearances rather than celebrated stardom. By the time of his death, he was far from wealthy, without notable real estate holdings, and his name had faded from the limelight. Today, he is remembered by fans of classic horror and Western television as a tragic figure, a hard-working actor whose career was marked by both creativity and unfulfilled potential. Roy Engel, a reliable character actor of Hollywood's golden television era, left his mark with his appearances on Bonanza, 1959-1973. Born on September 13, 1913 in St. Louis, Missouri, Engel brought an authoritative, rugged energy to the screen. When he appeared in Bonanza during the 1960s, he was in his late 40s and early 50s, playing a variety of townsmen, lawmen, and authority figures. His strong, steady presence made him a perfect fit for the Western genre, where his characters often embodied either stability or moral conflict within the frontier world. Engel's career spanned more than 2 decades with over 150 film and television credits. Aside from Bonanza, he is best remembered for roles in the Wild Wild West Gunsmoke and Perry Mason, where he often played sheriffs, judges, and stern figures of authority. He also appeared in notable films such as Young Jesse James, 1960, and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. Despite his prolific resume, Engel never rose to leading man status. This was both a professional blessing and a curse. He was always working, but rarely celebrated. The lack of fame and recognition became a quiet burden, shaping his career into one of steady but unsung contributions. Financially, Roy Engel did better than many character actors of his time. Adjusted estimates suggest his net worth would be close to $1.2 million today, built from years of consistent television work. However, his private life was less publicized, and unlike Hollywood's notorious stars, he avoided major scandals. He did face the frustration of career stagnation, often confined to similar roles that limited his creative range. Behind the scenes, this typecasting weighed heavily, a professional limitation that some considered a personal failure. By the mid-1970s, Engel's health began to decline. On September 29, 1980, he died in Burbank, California, just 16 days after his 67th birthday from complications related to cancer. At the time of his death, he left no great fortune or estates, but a reputation as a dependable and respected actor. Engel's life was not defined by scandal, but rather by the quiet struggle of a man who worked tirelessly in Hollywood, always close to the spotlight, yet never fully embraced by it. Today, fans of classic westerns remember him as one of those indispensable supporting players who gave authenticity to every scene he touched. Harry Holcomb, a familiar face in mid-20th century American television, was one of those versatile character actors who seemed to appear everywhere, including in the legendary Western Bonanza, 1959-1973. Born on September 11th, 1906 in South Bend, Indiana, Holcomb entered acting later than many of his peers, first building a career in stage and radio, before transitioning to television and film. When he appeared in Bonanza during the 1960s, he was already in his late 50s to early 60s, portraying townsmen doctors or community elders roles that perfectly suited his dignified appearance and calm authority. Beyond Bonanza, Holcomb's career was remarkably prolific. He appeared in more than 100 television series and films, including The Twilight Zone, Perry Mason Dragnet, and Bewitched. In film, he is remembered for parts in Escape from the Planet of the Apes, 1971, Soylent Green, 1973, and Empire of the Ants, 1977. Perhaps his most memorable late-career role came in Harold and Maude, 1971, where his understated performance added depth to the cult classic. Despite this expansive resume, he rarely enjoyed leading roles, instead being typecast as doctors, judges, or kindly older gentlemen. While this steady work brought him visibility, it also limited his ability to break free creatively, a professional frustration that shadowed his career. Financially, Holcomb never achieved the wealth of Hollywood's elite. Today, his net worth would be estimated at under $1 million, respectable for a working character actor, but modest compared to stars of his era. His private life was discreet. He avoided scandal, though friends noted that his greatest personal struggle was the sense of being overlooked in an industry that often prizes fame over reliability. This quiet battle with anonymity marked his career with a bittersweet quality. Holcomb lived a long life, but saw his health decline in the late 1970s. He passed away on January 19, 1987 in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 80 from heart failure. By then, he had left behind a vast body of work, though without large estates or significant real estate holdings. Married and private, he kept his family life away from the public eye with little record of children. Today, Harry Holcomb is remembered less for headline fame than for the countless moments when he brought warmth, gravity, or quiet wisdom to American screens, a man whose career was defined by endurance, not stardom. Phil Chambers, a steady and recognizable presence in mid-century American television, made several appearances on Bonanza, 1959-1973, where he typically portrayed townsfolk ranch hands or authority figures whose paths crossed with the Cartwrights. Born on June 16, 1916 in Los Angeles, California, Chambers brought a rugged authenticity to Western roles. By the time he stepped onto the set of Bonanza in the 1960s, he was in his late 40s and early 50s, seasoned by years of character acting that made him a natural fit for the show's frontier setting. Chambers built his career as a reliable character actor working in both film and television. He is perhaps best remembered outside of Bonanza for his recurring role as Sheriff Fred Madden in the family Western series, The Rifleman, 1958-1963. He also appeared in Wagon Train, Rawhide Dragnet, and Perry Mason. In cinema, his credits included small but memorable roles in Beneath the 12-Mile Reef, 1953, and The Night of the Hunter, 1955. Though his resume was wide, he often found himself typecast as lawmen, military men, or stern townspeople, roles that, while steady, limited his chance to break out as a star. This typecasting, though financially stabilizing, became one of his greatest frustrations as it kept him in the shadows of Hollywood recognition. Financially, Chambers never reached the wealth of marquee actors. Adjusted estimates today would place his net worth at around $500,000 to $800,000 earned steadily across decades of supporting roles. He never lived extravagantly and did not amass major real estate holdings. His personal life was quiet without major public scandals, though friends noted that his career struggles and lack of breakthrough success weighed heavily on him, creating a sense of professional disappointment. Phil Chambers lived into his 70s, passing away on January 16, 1993 in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 76. The cause of death was natural, related to age and health decline. At the time of his passing, he left behind a modest legacy, no vast fortune or headline fame, but a body of work that enriched countless westerns and dramas of television's golden age. Today, he is remembered by classic TV fans as a familiar, dependable face who gave authenticity to every role he played, even if the larger spotlight of stardom never fully found him. Which character from Bonanza, 1959-1973, holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel, knowing that the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.